I'd like to call this month's meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission to order. If you would all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Historic America, if you'd start with a roll call.
Okay, Chairman Chris Brandt,
Here.
Vice Chair Mark Johns,
Here.
Bruce Dumbo, Greg Walters,
Here.
Sarah Corona,
Here.
Jennifer Ahrens,
Here.
Ann Himes,
Here.
and I'm here.
Okay.
We do have a quorum.
Wonderful. So first item of business, as always, I'd like to review last month's meeting minutes and see if we can either approve as provided or approve with edits. I do have two quick little typos I caught, Greg. Second page, under liaison report, first paragraph. The first one in the second line, we've got an extra 0 in the year 2024.
Yeah.
And then jumping down to the fourth line near the end, it should be Tom Werzer, not Tim Werzer.
I'm sorry, where was that? On the same paragraph?
Same paragraph, fourth line, near the end of that line, it should be Tom
Oh,
Werzer with an
okay.
O. That's it from me on the edits for the minutes.
Just in that same paragraph, last sentence, such as removing asphalt roof shingles, has an H after the S.
Yeah, okay.
And actually, while we're at it, that reminds me
then-
of the third one. It should be shakes, not shakers.
Shake, not shakers, yeah.
Oh, wooden shakes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take the ER. Okay. Okay. And there was one on the back that was brought to my attention, again, typo. The complied, it should be applied. That's where you, Chris, gave the report that you took your personal project
Yes.
and applied your experience instead of complied your experience.
Oh, yes.
I thought it was applied, TCLA, but
Yeah.
compiled with.
Yeah, compiled is good.
Oh, is it compiled?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, I thought it was applied, so I just sent an email to Greg myself, but.
all right, so it's compiled.
Yeah. I think both are perfectly good words to
We'll go with
describe.
compile. I see what the typo was. Okay. Okay.
Last call for anyone? All right, pretty good. Can I get a motion to approve the February 27th, 2024 meeting minutes as noted?
I make a motion to approve the minutes, as noted.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Greg Walther. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you, everyone. Okay, we do not have anyone here present in person for public input. We do not have any current new applications for certificates of appropriateness or landmark designations to review. So we'll move on to correspondence and communication. Greg, Merrick, have you received any correspondence or communication for the Historic Preservation Commission?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
And I just checked the mailbox today and I did the email, but I did a brief.
Okay.
I saw the ones that you had,
Yep.
but I didn't find any from, other than your communications with other.
Okay. Great. So then we'll move on to the liaison report and continue to focus on you.
Okay, I don't really have anything additional to report. I did see the supervisor yesterday and asked him if we can meet with him next week. And I emailed you and I got your dates, and so tomorrow I'll set that up.
And I know you'd mentioned, I think we have it here in the last month's meeting minutes, the discussion of developing a sort of like flow chart or a chain of command for
Yes.
the interaction between building department, the Preservation Commission,
Yes.
Historical
Which is a
Society, et
part,
cetera.
yeah, and that's a part of what we're meeting the supervisor on.
Yep.
In the past, we've had more silos than we've had cross communications. And we need to have a flow so that when an application comes in, even if the state doesn't require a building permit, it gets one if it requires a certificate of appropriateness, so that the building department can do the inspection against compliance to the application, and then we can use that certificate of compliance to accept the certificate of appropriateness and maintain that in the landmark file. I think there's only about a dozen right now, but they could grow, and
Right.
so that's what the meeting is about, is to take a look at the outline, which I don't have it completed, but I will have it more so completed by the end of the week, and I'll send you the draft so that you'll have it before we go.
Okay. Great.
So, are we suggesting that they'll get a building permit first and then it comes in for
No.
C of A, or C of A first and then?
Right.
No, what'll happen is, it'll be two different ways of receiving an application. First would be if they know they need a certificate of appropriateness and they apply through this board, through the historian's office. If that doesn't happen, let's say they come in and they say, I'm going to change my front door, do I need a permit? A lot of people come in and ask, do I need a permit? And there's things that you don't need a permit for. A front door would be one of them. Unless you're a designated historic property, you can't put a steel door on. Like, if somebody comes in and says, yeah, I got this wooden door and every summer it jams because of the humidity. I want to change it out and put a steel door in so I have freer access. It would be flagged in the computers that the town has for that address. And so what they should do in the procedure would be first identify that address is not a historic designation. If it's not a historic designation, the town or the state doesn't require a permit similar in like materials on a replacement unless they're changing the size. If they're going from a 32 to a 36 or a 24 to a 36 door, then it would need a permit to make sure that the structure was completed properly around it. So just to change out a door would not require, if you're just changing materials but maintaining the size. But in this case, we'd want to know about that. So
Right.
if they brought it to us first, we would give a certificate of appropriateness identifying what it is and what it can be. I know that when I talked to you about the Pioneer House, we had a discussion about the pine door, even though it was a wooden door, pine, but it was wood and we got it through with pine.
Yeah.
But there may be a wood that's not available for its period, and so another wood would be appropriate by our certificate. Then the building department would issue a permit, and normally would not need a permit, a change out of a door, but they would issue it because of a certificate of appropriateness requirement, and they would do the inspection to make sure that what the certificate identified, they installed, and then we would use their certificate of compliance into attach that with the certificate of appropriateness, put it in the file, and bingo, it maintained its historic values.
Right. Yeah. It's essentially just it's assuring that it's almost like a double check to ensure that the proper process has gone through, regardless of the source of almost like origination, whether or not they preemptively, proactively submit a certificate of appropriateness or not. If there needs to be one, this process would ensure that requirement is caught beforehand, so you don't sort of get down the road and then figure it out afterwards that you're in violation. Yeah.
And what it will do, it'll just identify to the building department those historic properties, and it identifies how they're going to get notified of that. And then if they receive the information first, how it gets back to us, the board, or if the board gets it, making sure that the building department gets it, because the building department is actually going to be the inspecting agency representing the board to make sure compliance was met.
Yep. Great. Thank you, Greg. The other item I see under last month's liaison report, just to check in if, I know that we submitted a budget addendum and wish list through the historian's office that included
Oh, yeah.
new budget for the commission. So just wanted to check in to see if you have anything new to report on that, or we're still in a sort of holding pattern.
Okay. I don't expect that we're going to hear anything on that right away. I think that what the state does, they collect all their wish lists from around the state, and then they appropriate what it is. If you've got $5 million and you got 1 million applications, then everybody gets $1.
Right.
If you've got $5 million and you have got 5, applications, everybody gets $1 million. So, I don't know what's going to happen there. I did email you, I gave you the information, maybe the board I did, that the budget from last year, because there was nothing pre-approved, that we didn't have any residuals that came over. The other thing that will happen with this meeting that you and I are going to have with the supervisor, we're also going to have a building department representative, the director of the department. And we're going to talk about how the budget gets developed. And that would have to be, I understand it, by July at the latest.
Yep.
So that we'd be in next year's budget. In the meantime, this year, we'll have to see what happens. I got some ideas, but I don't want to discuss them.
Okay. All right, moving on. So then.
So there's nothing left from last year's budget,
No,
like for the plaques or anything?
no, no.
Okay.
And that's because we didn't have them, if we would have had a price pre-approved and taken it to the board, they could have been encumbered, but we would have had to make that purchase by the end of March, ideally, but we could probably get an extension. But it would be, if we got them at the end of March, or we got them in February, and we paid that bill in February of 2024, it would be against the 2023 budget because it was an encumbered approval. We didn't get the approval because I didn't do it. I didn't know.
Yeah, so we're going to learn a little bit about the process.
So that's one of the things that we're trying to put in that flow.
Right.
So that this board, the building department, the Historic Society, we all understand our positioning and how we can get funding.
Right.
And so we don't have a budget for this year, 2024?
Yeah, it's smaller than last year. I don't know what it is. I can find out.
Did we have anything in there for plaques?
Oh, in the budget? I didn't really do the budget, so I don't really know. I can look into it.
Because if we have it, we can start ordering some.
Right. Yeah. Would you be able to have that figure ready for our
Oh, yes.
meeting next week?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because then we could also iron out what the process needs to be if we need to have what information needs to be provided for approval, and what level of autonomy we do or do not have over our budget. Okay.
And that's why we're going to have this meeting.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trying to clean it up. It was,
You're doing a good job, Greg.
Well, there were some past procedures that were done because of the way things were done back then. Things have changed, and we have to be a part of that wheel.
Right.
And we haven't. There hasn't been any representation in a few years. And I think what's happened is, in the past, because of that 1919 law that required historians to be in each municipality, it's been a requirement under state law, and they've just been filling it and saying, we're required to have it by law, but they don't understand what those requirements are. And then they've approved this commission, and that moves up another step.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think we're going to have more positive results.
They being the
The
town
board,
The
yeah,
town-
the town board.
So, for my own edification, does this happen every administration change, or potential for it to happen every administration change?
I'm going to answer it this way and say potentially that could be, especially when there's not a format or a procedure. That's what we're going to attempt to do a format and a procedure that says, you know, this is how it happens. Because the other boards get them, you know, they get some kind of a budget. They have to have it because if they have to advertise a public hearing, there's
Right.
state law requires how that has to be done. And if they have to mail out certified letters, state law requires how that has to be done. And that's why when I came on a couple of years ago and I asked about the attorney, I was shocked that there wasn't an attorney assigned to this board. We've been borrowing the town attorney as needed, and I think that that is probably a good way to go, because a night like tonight, we probably don't need an attorney.
No, yeah.
But when we get an application that has some complications to it, that we should have legal advice,
Yeah, all right.
not our opinions.
Yeah, I would say I would generally recommend for any public meeting that is a public hearing, whether that's for a landmark designation application or a certificate of appropriateness hearing, then we should have a town attorney present. So
Yes.
ideally, we would get to the point where we're receiving and reviewing so many of those that we would have a town attorney present every month. But until we get to that critical mass, then it would be on an as-needed basis.
And that's a little bit about what the meeting is about, between you and I, the building department, and the supervisor, is to come up with those kinds of procedures and those policies. And all I'm doing is doing a draft, a rough, to bring it to our attention. Certainly, that's why we're looking for your input,
Yeah.
representing the board. And, well, we'll see how this falls out.
I
And-
thought you went through great pains like 2 years ago when we did that, but when we did establish the budget, that kind of set the whole tone and process for it.
Well, let me say
Why
this
didn't
about
that-
that, and that was a John Kennedy quote. We were able to pick up a budget, but it was significantly changed in the last budget round, and so it was reduced. And the budget didn't really, and here's where there's the cloud, if you will, and the understanding. The town board is spending tax dollars. We're a board of the town board. So we should have a budget that can receive those for those purposes that the legal responsibilities are there for. But it has to be identified. I don't think it's been clearly identified. In fact, I don't even think that the historian's position is clearly identified. It's not in town code. It's in state law, and they've appointed a historian. But, and they gave a budget. But I almost think that there should be, that this board should submit, even if it's an addendum to the historian's budget, but it should be for the board, not under the historian's budget. And that's what I got a couple of years ago. They opened up a budget because it was closed. They said, okay, we'll start here. And we never really had an understanding with, like the Historical Society had a misunderstanding that they should be funded too for some repairs. Well, the town owns those buildings, the Pioneer House and the blacksmith shop. And the town has those responsibilities, and the Historical Society, being an agency that uses those for educational purposes and authorized to by the town, has an input, but doesn't have a budget. So, and that's what's happening when I said there was not a clear understanding. I don't think there's a clear understanding of what the similarities and what the differences and what the legal binding differences are. You know, we're a board, it's binding. the Historical Society is an organization that's got great interest, the same as our interests, but in broadband history. We're more into structures and applications where people seek it, or somebody seeks it, than educating, that General O'Rourke crossed that bridge long before it was there.
Okay, thank you.
I hope I explained it, but it's a little bit more complex, and I don't want to articulate that here.
I was gonna say, and given Mark's particular strong interest, I would say I'm all ears if you want to provide any sort of feedback or specific questions that you'd like to make sure that I address as your all sort of representative in the meeting. Yeah, so I'm all ears for everyone.
Well,
I'm definitely hearing a lot of interest from Mark, but that goes for anybody.
And also, this meeting isn't going to be a final meeting. It's
Right.
just going to be an awareness
Yeah.
and identify some things that need to be identified that haven't been. And I would say if Mark was available and wanted to attend, because we're not making any decisions. It's not a meeting of a board to make decisions. It's an educational meeting to identify through development services that has the building department and through our board and through the historian's office and what state law requires, and articulate it that way.
Sounds like you're being voluntold. And it sounds like you're being voluntold to come along to the meeting, Mark. Given
No,
your interest.
I'm just letting you know, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Move along here. So we have our informal committee next regarding this wonderful draft brochure that I've got and that we have in front of all of us. So I'll just turn it over to our sort of brochure and outreach committee and let you guys take over, and you can walk us through what you got.
Well, I'll start because I put together the brochure. So all the wording is all the stuff that we developed at our meeting a few months ago. Was the last time we worked on it. So I just played around with how to kind of fit it on here. And we had said, it says in the notes from last meeting that we're going to try to do legal size, but I couldn't find any templates that were legal size, so I just decided to go for it on 8.5 by 11, and it fit. But there is one change that we made that I accidentally sent Greg the wrong version of. I guess Jennifer came up with this change, but said since it's not changed on here, we could ask you guys too, that we're going to move the Irondequoit Historic Preservation Commission, that whole section, and move that to the flap, so it would be on the other side where it says changing landmark buildings. So when you open it, that's right there. And then kind of slide over everything, so it would, the first left-hand side of the page would say criteria for designation, changing landmark buildings, and then changes that require approval. Is that what you wanted, Jennifer, too? Making sure that I understood.
Well, yeah, that was a suggestion.
Yeah. Oh, I liked it too. That's how I had it in the other version, but I guess that's,
Open it up, your eye could fall immediately on this
yeah.
line, and then the one page is all about changes then.
Yep. And then so any of these, so the picture on the front was just the template picture, so we could, and I didn't want to overthink or like design too much on the front, so I just literally picked a template that I liked and plugged in our information, so any of this can be changed. I didn't know if we wanted a logo on there. We should probably have a logo, but we could do that, put our own picture on it, and then all the blank spaces inside, I think it's just a couple of blank spaces, that's room for pictures or maps, and I could either slide for example, the changes that require approval, it takes up, maybe 2/3 of the page. I could either move it down and we could put a picture at the top, or we could put the picture at the bottom where the existing gap is.
And one of the things we talked about was having a list of the landmark structures in town so people can drive by them. I see Chris doesn't like that idea.
Yeah, I'd avoid it because just in the interest of trying to make this, once we sort of solidify the document for ease of reproduction and avoiding it getting itself out of date. I think that's more of a worthy project of, I think it'd be great to get that on our website that we're already directing people to go to. I'd love if we could have like an interactive map that has dots for all of our landmarks and has a photo, and if we have information on the landmark, provide that in that interface. I think, yeah, putting it on a printed document, it'll quickly get itself out of date, and then we gotta go in and change it, and then reissue it and reprint it and get rid of the ones that are out of date, so. But that's my 2 cents.
You're right.
Well, I like that idea too, though. I think the rate that we designate properties still would last, it would be good for 2 years at least. So, you know, it's not like, it's only a piece of paper. It's not like we're printing glossy, you know, books, color
as of.
books.
Yeah, then I'd say, yeah,
If we can-
let's indicate the date, yeah.
Yeah, and if we can fit it, if there's enough room, I think it'd be great. It may be challenging because we do have at least 15, something like that. They
So-
may not be able
Part
to
of it,
fit.
all you have to do is hit delete.
Right,
You know, to get rid of that site, fill it in with a town seal or something to fill it.
yeah, so thinking about the layout on the booklets, he said, so just like to make sure I understand it correct, so that first paragraph there, that's the one that's moving, right?
Yep.
Going to-
Okay, so then I think
That's
that's
moving.
maybe, given that we're talking about, then what is the landmark house property designated? Maybe that leaf is a prime opportunity. If we want to put a list of designated landmarks, we'd put it on that first column, if that makes sense.
Or even if you can fit it on the back, the facts, just something. 'Cause
So,
that would be a good-
but
just
my
like-
only concern with adding that, like, I think it would be cool to have the information, but then if you think about, like, this brochure is just all words. So, like, just thinking of somebody picking up and looking at it, they're gonna go, oh, that seems boring. And, I mean, we've all done that, right, with
Right.
stuff? But what about, I know we don't have it now, but we've talked about having all of this on the website. And we do have listed on here to see the website. What if we could put something on there to see a complete list of all the designated properties? See our website. Like something like that, because I think that's where we wanted to have, or it sounded like how is all of our updated information would be there.
Okay, well, I side with that. That was at least my initial suggestion, that I got all wishy-washy. So, I would agree with other sentiments too about getting the town seal on the cover. And then I'm open to ideas for,
Cover of the back, I mean, the very bottom of the back.
yeah, or the
Yeah.
bottom, yeah, use your discretion, but somewhere,
Maybe I could play around with
Yeah.
putting one on the front, one on the back, see what everyone thinks.
and then I'm open to folk suggestions, photographs to use. I mean, it would seem like either like a photograph of one of our designated properties, or something as like sort of like boring as like, I mean, since town hall is a designated property and we're in town hall, just a photo of town,
Yeah.
like a historic photo of town hall.
This shows,
Maybe.
represents that this is a town document pretty much, and then it's also, town hall is designated. It's a twofer.
I like that. Yeah, I like the historic photo too. I like the idea of the historic photo for the town hall too.
Black and make it even black and white.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, this is in color, but we can do a couple things. Like, I think just black and white photos, so then if somebody is printing this off, or maybe we're told it needs to be printed off in black and
Right,
white
yeah.
to save money, so that way it'll look good. But we could keep the navy blue if we do want to print it out in color, so that looks good too. Or I can create two separate ones in black and white, ones in.
I think the navy
That's
blue
about
looks fine, and then it recedes a little, like a little bit visually when it goes black and white, but it's not gonna really recede that much.
Yeah. And then for pictures too, this might be more for Greg. We need to make sure that they're like approved pictures. So like we talked about, just pictures of designated properties, we don't want to just put somebody's house on there and they didn't approve it. So I mean, that's something to keep in mind. But I assume a lot of the pictures you have, Greg, would be,
Or copyrighted.
that we're
information.
legally allowed to put on this.
You've got the blacksmith shop, you've got the cobblestone, or the Pioneer House, you've got the town hall, and you got that smoke room
that's-
down in
that's
Seabrook.
Oh, that's
House.
right.
Yeah, so
No.
there's a bunch that are publicly owned.
And we have some pictures downstairs of them at different times.
Would you be able to like get those pictures to us?
Yeah,
Or if you get it to me, I can start placing them in there.
I'll make, maybe Friday I'll be doing it.
Okay.
It's a Word document?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then one last thing I had that I just thought of where if we're gonna, our hope is to use the website to store all this stuff and just get information. I'm wondering if there's like a simpler web address that can be created for us.
I think that'd be very helpful for people
Yeah.
to actually want to type it in and go see what's there.
I mean, I don't know about all the technical stuff, but I feel like there's a way they can do that.
Is it too complicated to just lead them to the general town website and think that they can use the drop downs to find the commission? I mean, I feel like short of that, you're probably left to doing this.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we already had an issue with one of the residents in the Wimbledon Road district reached out and wanted a copy of like the information sheet that we gave out in our first public meeting like 3 years ago. And we made short little links because we had the meeting recorded. So it was like links so you could go view the video. And we made tiny URL links to make it easier to have it on the page. All of those were dead links. So I had to like send them the actual like big long form link so that it would work. So I'd worry about using anything like a tiny URL or otherwise because it, again, may outdate itself faster than we hope.
Well, I wonder if it's a question to ask whoever does the town's website to see if, like, if they created a link, you know, versus us doing it.
That's true.
Like, if that's an option.
Right.
If it's not, then I think, like, for ease of use, just doing arondequoit.org and hoping they find the links. But if it is an option for them to create a web address just for us, it would go to the same page. But, you know, like Arondequoit preservationcommission.org. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe.
That's why I would vote again. That's why I would vote again to have the list on here. Go through all that rigmarole, and I wouldn't do
Are
it.
you willing to try an option with the list of
Oh, yeah,
landmarks
no, I
if
can
that's of
try
interest
it.
of folks?
Yeah, we
Okay.
could try it and see what it looks
Let's
like.
see what it looks like.
And the updated list is on the Google Docs.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's also on the RFP as well.
Unless we
Right.
do like the QR code thing, can we do that? Is that
Oh.
possible?
Now that those are kind of ubiquitous since COVID, that could be a good
Yeah.
option actually. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like everyone knows how to use those now after most of your restaurant menus are a QR code. But again, I think we want to figure out, like, is there like a permanent QR code or something? Like if you
Okay.
pay like $5, does that random assembly of black squares stay the same and go to the same link forever? But yeah, I'm open to that. That could be a good option as well.
That might be something we can bring up when we have our meeting with the supervisor, because he is formulating a more of an IT communication bureau.
Okay. All right.
I think that's good direction, Sarah and Ann, you think?
Yeah.
Sorry, one last thing I'll throw on. I think they're probably the same, but just to make it in the aim for consistency, whatever font that you're using here, which to my eyes looks like Garamond, whatever font is used on this, use that font on the letter,
Oh, yeah.
because they're going to be going together in the same envelope. So just to make, obviously this is going to be more formatted and designed as the brochure, but at least just have them kind of be symbiotic to one another since they'll be in the same envelope when they arrive.
Just for the record, I knew he was going to talk about font.
I can't be helped.
You don't have to put that in the meeting.
Yeah.
Do you know, do we have a logo anywhere? A Rondequoit logo?
Yes, I can re-find, because I had to find a pretty high def one for the RFP. So
Yeah.
if it's not sitting in our Google Drive, I'll find it and I'll drop it in there or email it to everyone so everyone's got the town
Talking
logo.
about the town seal, like the one
Yeah.
that's behind.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like this thing.
You
Right.
can always find stuff to go to.
Well, that or the,
Yeah, I just
Just
downloaded.
Google pics of Rondequoit seal, it'll come up, there'll be
There'll
the 100 of them.
1,000.
Yeah, but they may not be, you have to get
Yeah,
good ones.
I think I did a little digging to get the really clear one that we used on the RFP. So I should have that
But-
file sitting around.
do we want the whole, that, so just
I
the,
think just the seal, yeah. Okay, any last calls on the brochure?
does everyone like the front, the way the word, just how it looks?
Yeah, and I think the
Okay.
color's a good idea because
Yeah.
if the rest of it's gonna be bland,
Yeah,
good to catch the eye,
okay.
Yeah,
as long as the,
Yeah, with the real picture of Rondequoit.
appropriate.
I mean, this photo does have land and water meeting,
It
so.
does. We could probably find a place in Rondequoit that looks
Historic
just like that.
See if there was something in Durand or
Seabreeze.
Seabreeze, exactly. That would be perfect.
Yeah. Okay, I'll play around with some stuff.
Like the roller coaster or something. That's,
But it's not a historic property.
no, but it could be a nudge.
Okay, on to old business. So Wimbledon Road Historic District. Last month, we agreed on the date for the public meeting to be run by 2 staff members at the State Historic Preservation Office. So that date is our next regularly scheduled meeting, April 30th, 2024 at 7:30. We received confirmation from those staff members. They will be providing a online link. They're going to be running their meeting, I think, through WebEx is the program they've chosen. I think that's the program the state has to use. But we're going to be coordinating with town IT staff. The hope is to run the meeting here in the Broderick room with the big drop-down screen and then the video feed in the room, so that the state staff members can interact both with commission members as well as homeowners in the district that may have questions during the meeting. But most of the meeting will be primarily run by state staff members. They asked me to give a brief intro of about 5 minutes, but they're mainly going to be the stars of the show, but we'll both be coming to the meeting virtually. We will not have them in person. So once we figure that out, the notifications for that meeting will be going out from the state, so we don't have to deal with coordinating that outreach. The official outreach will be done by New York State for the meeting. And any members of the public, like with our regular hearings and meetings, are welcome to come. Maybe we'll see if the town wants to promote it, if anyone's interested in learning more about the historic tax credits and National Register possibilities in the town. But I think mostly it'll probably be homeowners within the district. The other update with the Wimbledon Road Historic District is that the draft National Register nomination was submitted this week. There's still a little bit left to be done on it, but they do have the draft in hand. And they also have the sort of official boundary map in hand because they're starting to sort of input all of that into their online database. So I'll be interfacing with the state over the next week or two to put the sort of final touches on getting all of our photographs uploaded, as well as making sort of final edits and requested changes. And then it will be on the state review board's agenda for their June hearing in Albany. So barring anything going sideways at that meeting, the National Register nomination for the Wimbledon Road Historic District should be approved at the state level in June, and then will become officially a National Register District through National Park Service in July. And so anyone who's been applying for the homeowner tax credits this year will be able to claim those tax credits on the 2024 income taxes through New York State. I think that's all I got for Wimbledon Road.
So is that package on the Google Drive?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and once I get the final, I'll sort of re-update it on the drive as far as like whatever that is the sort of final submission that they approve, because the state staff are also probably going to do edits on it. So we'll get a final sort of notification of like, here's the final official PDF that was reviewed and approved and signed by the New York State Parks Commissioner. And we'll get a copy of that both physically as well as digitally, and then we'll keep that in our archives for our reference. So that's it from me on Wimbledon Road. I don't know, Mark, if you've had any updates or any other information to report on your sort of exploration into signage for the district.
No, not yet. I mean, I have the draft that we had discussed
Yeah.
before, but I still need to talk to the DPW to get an idea on the cost.
Okay. All right. Next item on old business, our landmark, local landmark plaques. I don't know if we have anything more to discuss beyond what we sort of touched on a little bit during the liaison report part of the meetings. I think part of it is we'll figure out what our current budget is for the commission, if we have available funds this year, and then if so, I think then we would probably proceed with wanting to seek approval for ordering plaques probably next month to get the process underway with all of our properties that still need plaques. Anything else to report on that, Mark, as far as, I think we've got the pricing, we're just sort of waiting now? Great. And then last item of old business from last month, the townwide historic resource survey. The final RFP was reviewed and approved by town council, and it officially went out. It went out to 8 qualified sub-consultants. All 8 6 of the 8 have confirmed receipt. One has indicated that they're too busy to submit on the proposal, but everyone else seemed interested. And so we will then, in a couple of weeks, is the deadline for questions. So we should at least have a little bit of update for next month. And then the RFPs are due, if I'm remembering correctly, I think a little bit after next month's meeting. So in 2 months from tonight, we should know who our selected consultant is, pending approval of town board and New York State. So official approval probably won't be until summer, but we should have a pretty good idea of who the awarded consultant will be in 2 months.
So we have 7 candidates? One declined, so that's
Correct, yeah, so 7 now, yep.
It's invited.
Yes, so we provided a list of qualified candidates. Most of these all came from the Preservation League of New York State. So that's the sort of state level version of the Landmark Society. They maintain a list of preservation consultants across New York State, arranged by county, and then categorized by the types of expertise that the firms have. So anyone who is listed as having expertise in doing cultural resource surveys, which is a close cousin to what we're doing, a historic resource survey, anyone who had that expertise that was not like down in Manhattan and Long Island, so essentially anyone from Buffalo to Albany that had that expertise indicated was contacted. So we'll see.
So it's not like on the Dodge report that anybody can call?
No, yeah, and we did confirm that with the supervisor's office that the RFP did not need to be posted to the town website, but that we just need to make sure that we secure 3 official responses Hopefully, the three official responses are proposals, but similar to some other sort of small scale, like county projects, you at least need sort of 3 formal bid responses.
So why wouldn't we put it on the contract reporter and let people, if they're interested, ask for an RFP, and
I can ask if they can do it, yeah,
just in case some of those don't end up not submitting,
right,
then we have to go through this all again.
yeah. Yeah, I can ask, so see if I can get a little bit of headway on that, so.
Only they have to respond quickly because it's eaten into the time now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, thankfully, we're not too far out because as far as the final dates that we had on the RFP, the release date was Thursday, so we're only a few days past that right now. So I'll check in with the town tomorrow to see if we can get it up on contract reporter to maybe widen the pool even further for potential candidates. But yeah, we did get a very positive response from the people that were contacted this week. So happy to report that.
They may not have read it all yet.
We'll see. So only time will tell. Okay, so then the last item for me, I'm pulling out of our parking lot. Actually, it's missing the parking lot. Is the process for updating our chapter of the Town of Arundecoit Code. The town board this month approved, I think it wasn't a motion. I'm trying to remember what they officially called it, but essentially the town of Arundecoit is officially pursuing a comprehensive update of the town code holistically. So that brought back up to the fore the importance for us to continue the process that we began of drafting a comprehensive update to our chapter of the town code. So I wanted to sort of field the room. I foolishly tried to take on the task of compiling our edits by myself, so I'd like to share the burden and reach out to see if other members of the commission would be willing to be the sort of chief sort of organizer or ankle biter to get us to collectively compile all of our edits together so we can have a sort of final draft for all of us to review one last time before we then move on for having town council review and then eventually town board review.
We didn't miss the boat, did we? Yet?
No.
We still have time. Then once we draft ours together, who else needs to review it?
So then it has to go to the town attorney, and then once the town attorney does their review and edits and our feedback discussion between us, once we get the town attorney's stamp of approval, then it goes to the town board and it's an official motion, and they open up a public hearing and public comment at the town board for that updates to our chapter of the town code. It's possible, depending on how they want to structure it, maybe they're doing a single motion to update everything, but they may also do incremental where it might be a chapter at a time that they're doing updates. But the official notice of this interest in the town in pursuing it literally just came out like a week and a half ago. So I think it was
Yeah,
just,
but I thought this had been a project in the works for quite a while. So when
Yeah.
is the end date for this?
we can, I guess, ask the supervisor next week.
Because I don't want to go through all this work and then it's not gonna. I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
how long it takes them to respond to the RFP that was totally done.
Right.
Was this that you're talking about, Chris, where they hired that firm?
I think if memory serves correct, and others feel free to
But they
correct
did-
my faulty memory. I
they
think
had a
this was started,
wasn't it?
the initial process was started with a consultant under the
Passarose?
previous administration, but I don't think any official motions and changes to the code ever occurred, to my knowledge. But the process of reviewing and updating the code started a year or two ago, but it's not
I don't think
completed.
that they were originally to update the code. I think that they were they were going to be used by the development services as a reference to review code questions that dealt with the zoning. And during that relationship, they found there were a lot of areas that were not brought up to date to our technology of today, and so they've come out with this proposal, and I think that's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, so I brought it up here,
But
so
I think it's also going to take a year.
yeah, so this was released on the 21st of this month, noting that the town board approved a resolution to rewrite the town code. It notes that the code for the town of Arundequoit, that the current draft of the code was largely written 28 years ago in 1996. And yeah, much to what Greg Merrick was already mentioning, that we are a very different town than we were 3 decades ago. And so the town code should reflect the best interests of the town's current residents. So I think, yeah, this is sort of like an official, like, start your engines type notice for the
Right.
codes. I think in some ways we're ahead of the
And
8
we're
ball
ahead.
now.
Now it sounds like we're ahead, but we talked about this when
Yeah.
we used to meet in the library, and that was 2 years ago.
Right.
So I don't understand what happened to that contract. That didn't happen?
I don't know, yeah.
Well, maybe that's something you can square
Yeah.
away in your meeting. and
You,
then If,
if we're going to rewrite our code and the attorney looks at it and reviews it, they won't be, I think what they're starting, if I understand right, is they're starting with the zoning, and then they're going to go to planning and zoning. They're actually going to call it a whole different thing, and they're going to consolidate it a little bit.
Well, it's probably important then that we make sure that we have a seat at the table, because in many municipalities, preservation law is a subset of zoning law. So,
Right.
yeah, we need to make sure that our ongoing process is known to the players that be in this larger process for the town code.
But it was just approved,
Right.
and they said it's going to be 2 phases, and the first phase is going to take up to a year. And the second phase could take 2 to 3 years. So we got time. But I mean, we're ahead of that 8 ball because we've already done all the legwork. We just have to compile it now
Right.
and submit it.
So back to the original reason for bringing this up. Is there anyone willing to take on the organizational effort of getting our edits together and producing a second draft of our code document?
yeah, I will be,
Okay.
provided, what kind of format do you need it? Does it have to show the edits and the strikeouts and the additions, like laws, like when they draft the laws in Albany? I mean,
No, I
all
think
these-
for this one, this is so long as we retain the original document, then we just save a new,
in a separate
separate file that
Show it in
incorporates all the,
italics or strikeout, any of that stuff. We
Yeah.
can just add the edits.
correct.
So you don't care
Yes.
about a red line copy, you just want a clean copy?
I think so, because we're going to go through it again. We've tracked it initially, and then I think we can start again with compiling all these together to one last go through after we've compiled everything that we had, and then forward it on to the town attorney.
Yeah, if it's just that easy, a Word document, track changes or not, I'll,
That's really easy to do. So what I'm hearing from Greg, I think he wants to know where changes have been made. So maybe
so you want to see, I could start
I don't know
from,
if the attorney's gonna wanna see what we changed
I
around.
can start from that.
So anytime I get anything from an attorney,
They want red line
they,
and clean.
yeah, they have a red line in the.
Okay. Well,
they
then-
compare the two.
to that end, then we were already tracking changes in the current Word document, so let's just keep following that. But yeah,
So
You
have a
can only-
comprehensive red line, it's not like all one thing, it's all pieces of
But you
everybody
can-
together, so he's gotta put one piece all together.
You can only track so many, like if it's already something you changed and you change it again, it's not going to show that change
Right.
unless, so are you okay with that?
I think yes. Yeah, so long as if it shows that we changed something from the original source, regardless if we changed our minds 2 or 3
Accept
times about
everything.
said change to the original source.
Except everything, we'd have to accept everything and then start tracking changes again. We don't have the software like they have in Albany to do the laws. but maybe
Right,
those-
but I think we can just continue the current document since it was already just simple Word tracking changes. We'll just keep that setting on, get everything else that we did, we notated either by hand or in our minutes, get the rest of those into that
It's all
same
there.
file.
You have the minutes
Yes.
there too.
Yep.
You have everything right there.
Yes.
Oh, you are, that, I give you.
Well, that will be not too bad. I mean, I know it's gonna be bad, but
Right.
I don't have to go looking for everything.
Yes.
It's all here.
Yep. All right.
And I have a year or two now. I don't.
You have a year to do it.
Which
Yeah,
I still
there we
don't
go.
understand why, because we started this 2 years ago because
Right.
they had that contract, and now there's another contract. I don't understand. I don't understand.
I don't think there was a contract for the code. There was a contract for a company to review applications to our code, and they made a proposal. And I think
Well,
that's
then
how
why
this
did we
evolved.
start updating ours?
We started updating ours regardless because we said it needed to be compliant with the state.
Right.
And that's why we did it, and we wanted to do it rather than have it done because we wanted to be able to identify where our concerns and our problems were because we knew them. Because we've been doing it, and we know where we've been tripping. And then we needed to make it in compliance with the state. So we were taking the model code and then trying to massage it into our code.
Yeah, but
And then all of a sudden, they came up with this resolution last week at the town board meeting, and they're going to have a recodification. So that's, we're actually ahead of that curve.
I think we should just consider the town thing a non sequitur. It's like, it doesn't really, let's just do this no matter what.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Years
But
from now,
we
this
had
will
started
never
it
come.
because there was a consultant on board, or it was
them
the
do what
town
they gotta do and
engineer
do what we gotta
was
do.
already doing this 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
we were slow. But now, good, we're ahead. So,
And we're getting,
We get audited, right, by the,
Yes.
because we're a CLG, and this is one of the things, right?
Correct. Yeah. And actually, that's a good note. That's another sort of continuing item of old business, but on a yearly basis as an update to everyone. We're still waiting for notification from the state to do our yearly review as required by being a CLG. So, but I did reach out. I think Mark was on the email. I reached out to the state within the last month requesting clarification if we needed to be submitting our yearly review, and they said not yet, but they would be in communication soon, and would provide whatever documentation we needed to fill out for our yearly review. So we are still fully in compliance with the state as far as that's concerned.
so do you need to make copies of all that first, or are you just going to give me all that?
I'll probably just give it to you.
Okay.
And then the last item from last meeting, it was new business then, so now it's old business. We talked about a potential future project regarding the documentation, potential repair, and restoration of cast iron historic markers in the town. I know Ann did some homework on that and sent us around some info, so I'll
Yeah, I
just
got a
give you
list
the floor.
started and I got a couple feedback from a couple people about some that were missing, so
And I almost wonder, I mean, for information gathering, if it's like of interest to anyone, just so we get a sense of what their current condition is, because I know the website you sent is really great, but some of the photos are 5 years old, 10 years old,
Yep.
so we don't really necessarily know what the current condition is, but just maybe if we get a baseline and understand it, that can then inform if we end up partnering with some of these organizations we discussed last month, or seeking grant funding, et cetera. We at least have a kind of better sense of what we're up against with those markers. Yeah, my sense is a few of them are much worse than what's in those photographs online.
Well, should we have somebody drive around and do like a poor, fair, and good condition, like, put that next to each one, what it is currently?
yeah,
Grab some current photos and then,
Take a photo and put like a poor, fair, or good condition.
yeah.
I think something that simple is probably a good idea. Just
Yeah.
photograph of each side.
I can take that on.
Okay,
If Mark takes on that.
great.
Only if Mark takes on that other thing, I'll take on this thing.
Fun, it's like a field trip.
Yeah, I don't mind driving around.
Then last reminder, we talked about this last month, but just another reminder, the state preservation conference is coming up in 3 weeks on April 15th through the 17th. I have not checked the website in the last couple of days, but I believe there are still CLG scholarships available, which would, anyone on our commission would qualify for those scholarships, and that would give you free attendance to the conference, with the only stipulation that you will be required to attend the half-day CLG training on April 15th. You're not required to attend any of the rest of the conference, but you do have to attend that 4-hour training session in order to receive the CLG scholarship.
Are we allowed to attend the rest of the conference, or do we have to pay for it?
Oh, yeah, you can attend everything.
It didn't say it. It
Oh.
didn't say that clearly, because I wanted to do it. I wanted to do one of the tours.
Oh, yeah, you get to do everything. Yeah, so your scholarship gets you free admittance to the entirety of the to the entirety of the,
Well, then it didn't let
Conference.
you choose like tours, because I had to register for the Joanne Beck tour.
yeah, I
Yeah,
would,
so I applied for the scholarship first and got approval of it, and then when I went back in, I could register for
Okay,
the
because I haven't
tours.
heard back yet.
yeah, send me a note as a reminder, and then I'll get an email, because the staff member who coordinates that for Lammer Society, Becky Timmons, she'd be able to sort out any technical difficulty like that for the scholarship and the attendance. But yeah, the CLG scholarship allows you to attend the entire conference if you want.
Oh, okay.
The only stipulation is you have to attend the CLG training in order to get the free scholarship to go. Okay.
How long did it take you to find out?
It only took me a couple days. They got back to me pretty quickly. So I guess I would reach out
I
again.
know, that last time it was quick too. I was
Yeah, I
surprised
did mine too. I heard the next day.
I haven't heard, this time now
Yeah.
too? I haven't heard anything.
Maybe it went to your junk
Yeah, might have
mail?
gone to your junk mail, maybe.
I'll have to
I was
check.
surprised. I felt like it was a couple days last year, and this was probably even
You're
less than
usually
24
reading
hours.
About it, and I haven't gotten anything.
Yeah, I know some of the field sessions have filled up quickly because they scrambled and got a second walking tour arranged for that first day because the first one filled up so fast.
When did the Joanne Beck one? Cubs Hill?
Yeah, I don't know if that one's filled or not. That's what I'm going on though.
Is that Katie?
Yeah, it's Katie and Joanne Beck, yeah.
That wasn't full a week ago.
Okay. That's it for me. I've been dominating our agenda, so open the floor if anyone has anything for the good and welfare, any new business items, or any backtracking to previous items, please feel free to jump in. So I'll turn the floor over to my colleagues.
I was wondering if there's anything that we can publicly share about 690 Titus.
As far as sharing 690 Titus, we have no updates. We've not received any correspondence or updates either from the property owner or from the town attorney. So yeah, it's not even necessarily like being quiet about something. It is system silence on all sides. So we've not heard anything. So nothing to report.
Okay, thank you.
Do we still have the same town attorney as the last administration?
Yes, thank you for asking. I asked for clarification that and did receive a confirmation. Megan Doherty from Harder, Seacrest, and Emery, who was the town attorney under the previous administration, remains the town attorney under this current administration.
Thank you.
And remains on this specific litigation with us?
To my knowledge, yes. Yeah, I would assume with any litigation or legal proceedings with the town that she, I know she's got staff, right, that would work underneath her, but I think as far as chief,
But she's still a stakeholder in this?
correct, yeah. So I think for anything, whether it's the 690 Titus, whether any other sort of legal matters for the town, I think in general, Megan would be the chief point person for the town, and then whoever her staff are that slot underneath her that assist on various cases. last call. Can I get a motion to adjourn at 8:35?
I motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second from Jennifer. All in favor?
I
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
anyone is taking public transportation, they would probably have to go out to Culver Road. So anything we could do to make that more of a hospitable journey, I think would be welcome.